snapshot. So then when we go to the fungal propagation, that's when we take a little handful, just a little handful of those microbes. Like one handful is like billions and billions and trillions of microbes. You just take a little handful of them and we create this indigenous microorganism pile where we then take a little bit of that microbe. Like Master, a lot of these, so these teachings come from a man named Master Hanku Cho. Gotta give him props. All these solutions kind of came to him in his dreams, which is kind of wild. But he's like 86 years old. I've had the chance to study with him on the Big Island and in South Korea with him. And where is it going with that?
Yeah, you were saying, so you like added with the soil.
How much you add?
Oh, okay, yeah. So Master Cho says that 99% of natural farming comes from the Bible, believe it or not. From the Bible, like esoterically. And there's, I think there's a story in the Bible, I'm not too familiar, where Jesus took like a little bit of bread and a little bit of fish, and he was able to feed many, many people. This is kind of a similar idea. You're taking a little bit of that, and then you're feeding it into a substrate in a pile. So we use like organic, I use organic wheat bran. It smelled like chocolate, right? I'm not making that up. A little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But so we take that little bit of microbial life and then we feed it with some of these solutions in a pile, which is a substrate, starting with 50 pounds. It's just that we're kind of moving up in substrate. So we started with the rice box, which is a little substrate. We preserved it. Now we have this big pile where we're gonna basically take a little bit of those microbes and then feed them with these solutions, and then they grow and expand. And that pile will heat up. It will get to about, we don't want it to get above 120 degrees. I think there's a little thermometer on there that says that, below 120. So the pile will heat up. It's a sign that the microbes are making new generations, making love, growing, expanding, evolving. And you basically kind of turn the pile 3 times a day or more to keep the temperature below 120. And eventually it will stabilize at room temperature, and you'll have your kind of your inoculant. But,
wait. So can you put say you have your IMO stuff, can you put that on a compost pile and grow it in your compost pile?
yeah, basically that's an inoculant. So
Okay.
if you're taking that inoculant and you're applying it to your compost pile, and then you're feeding your compost pile, it will kind of grow the biology. I'm not going to say that's the best way to do it. It's the right idea that you're taking an inoculant and then you're feeding it to a substrate and then kind of growing it, evolving it. But yeah, this is just kind of like with a composting pile though, this is a big distinction. It's like composting is like breaking down, deteriorating. Sometimes it probably doesn't smell the best. This will smell really good. When you start your pile, it's gonna smell like baked bread. And you can smell this from like miles away. And then it will start to turn from baked bread smell to more of like a rich earth forest smell. And when it's and the difference between composting, which is breaking down, we're like exponentially trying to grow life. We're trying to grow life that breaks soil down and breaks rocks down and eats rocks and eats compost down, but it's not like a compost pile, if that makes sense. It's a little bit different.
I guess my real question was, how do you build this pile?
How do you
What's
build
in
it?
it?
Yes.
How do you build a pile? Does
Well,
anyone
what's-
know how to
what's
build a
in it?
pile?
Like, what out of? Like,
Oh, what out of? So, man, I should have brought some more sheets, but yeah, this is just the overview, by the way. So if you are feeling like, each part of these has like a specific in-depth thing.
Can you come back and do like a class on all every sheet?
Yeah. But what goes into the pile? So I have friends that use like dog food, which is it's wild. But I use organic wheat bran, which you can get at Hilo or HFM in Hilo. And then I use which will, it's probably it's a good thing to go into. So, and then, does anyone have this sheet right here? The 9 solutions. The 9 solutions. So what goes into the pile? Nothing in the pile. So these 9 solutions go into the pile. So we can do a little taste testing. So the cool thing about natural farming is that if I spray this on a puppy, or I spray this on a child, or I spray this on myself, it's completely fine, because everything that we make in natural farming is edible. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say it's medicinal, but I think there's benefits to it. So the first one that we have is kind of the Oriental Herbal Nutrient, which, so we have a few cups. We kind of want to make these all last. So I'm going to pass some of the stuff around. By last, I mean like make sure everyone gets a chance to try that wants to try. But we can always fill up more. So this is Oriental Herbal Nutrient. Would someone be willing to read it?
Aids in digestion and metabolism created from medicinal herbs, allows for elimination of pathogens without compromising beneficial microbes within the environment.
Thank you. Yeah, OHN, Oriental Herbal Nutrient, or the medicine. The medicine. It's made out of cinnamon, licorice, ginger, garlic, angelica. An option to do turmeric if you're, in Hawaii and growing it. It's readily available. You can also branch out and kind of utilize this recipe to do a little bit more. I recently started making it with ayahuasca vine, fermenting and tincturing it to get like the nutrients out of it, to then start applying that to the plants in a water soluble form. But basically, you ferment. Okay. So actually, we're going to actually start with number 3, I think, to make this make a little bit more sense. That's okay. Would someone be willing to read number 3? We'll go back to number 1, I promise.
Pure extracted essence of plant exudates, containing all complex enzymes and hormones bound with alcohol for immediate distribution of plant nutrients.
Thank you, yeah. So the food, fermented plant juice. In Korean, it translates to kind of green juice from heaven. So it's a way to get all the life force, all the mana, all the essence of a plant in a water-soluble form. So this is one of my favorite solutions to teach and to consume. I'll pass it around. It's really sweet.
Fermented.
This is fermented banana cakey plant juice. So you see those little cakey banana plants that are planted all around? You can pass this around. I'll pass another one off the other side.
What do you do with the banana plants?
So what do you do with them? You harvest the banana cakeys and you cut them up into small pieces. You get a big mixing bowl and you mix in 1/3 to 1/2 the plant material's weight in sugar. If it is a unripe fruit, a grass, a flower, if it is a ripe fruit, you are going to use more sugar. You're going to use equal weight of sugar. And then you basically cut it up and you mix in the sugar with the plant material, and you lomi kind of massage gently. And you put in your love and intention into it, and it starts to juice up and creates what's called osmotic pressure. And that's the cell wall of the plant kind of releasing its essence. And if you ever like cooked greens on a stove before, you see how they kind of compress down. You stir fry them, same thing will happen. You start with a big bowl. After you lomi mix it in, it's going to compress and shrink down. That's a sign that you've hit that osmotic pressure. You're going to put it in a fermentation vessel, fill it 2/3 of the way full, put a breathable lid on it, let it ferment for 3 to 7 days, pour it off, and you are left with fermented plant juice from heaven. You can also, after you strain it off, you can do a few other things. Which we'll talk about here. You can do one, which is you can save that strained plant material, which I'd recommend doing. You can save that strained plant material, and you can add 1 part strained plant material to 2 parts water, add a vinegar mother or a SCOBY. If you don't have one, you don't need one actually, you can just let it be. And you let it sit for about a month. If you have a mother, if you don't have a mother, it's gonna take more than a month. And what you'll get is a fermented homemade vinegar from heaven. So what I'm passing around now is a homemade fermented mango vinegar. The mangoes came from Opeka when they were in season. This is from 2019.
Now, are you fermenting that with brown sugar again?
Yeah, brown
Say
cane sugar. How was it?
It smelled great.
Smells great. I should have brought.
Smells like molasses.
Smelled like molasses. I should have brought my other one. So this is an interesting story. So we got our vinegar passing around.